I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Jim Cavale. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm excellent, my friend. Great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in the middle of the southeastern United States, the South as we call it here, and that's Birmingham, Alabama. Originally from New York, but really love it down here. Have you ever been to Alabama?
I've not. I've driven through Alabama on my way to Florida from Tennessee.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're not far from Nashville or Atlanta. Those are kind of the two closest other cities near us. So I saw you had a Nashville number. Is that where you stay?
Actually, no. That is actually a number that's via online. I do stay in Nashville, Franklin to be specific, when I jump across there from time to time. But I'm in Trinidad right now.
Right. I didn't know if you had a U.S. place there. It makes sense. Yeah, Franklin's beautiful.
Yeah, Franklin is amazing, my friend. Please tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
I don't know. I mean, I think connecting is probably something that I'm most passionate about and something that I think God has blessed me with a knack for. And in business, as you know, it's really not what you know, it is who you know. And every business I've built, I feel like connections have been a huge part in the process, whether it's connections to the right people building a team with, which we all know you can't build anything significant without a great team, or just connections to the right people in the marketplace to bring on and serve as clients. So, I think that's kind of something I stand for is connections.
So if you look around from the beginning to now of your life, who did you learn that skill from, that skill of being able to connect with others?
It was my uncle. He really instilled in me at a young age the importance of networking and, making sure that you remember people's names. And if you get in a short conversation with somebody, you know what to ask them and how to engage them in a conversation. And, then being able to, leverage connections to continue to meet more people. And I really think where I really honed my skills in that was going to a private school, which I'm sure some listeners like me went to maybe a private school in the city they grew up in. When you go to a private school, you actually go to school with kids from all over the city, kids that would probably go to multiple different school districts if they stayed in the public schools. And so going to a private school, I started meeting different friends from all over the city. And I started going back to their neighborhoods on the weekends, and I'd go back to their neighborhoods and meet the public school kids from that area of town. And where I grew up, Syracuse, New York, there's probably, 20, let's say, different school districts in the city. Well, I ended up by going to the private school having a pretty good network in each of the 20 different school districts. And before you knew it, by the time I got out of high school, I felt like I know the whole city when it came to people my age. And so I think that that's a smaller example, but I think you can look at that on a regional, national, or even worldwide level if you're good at understanding that really you have the ability to borrow other people's networks as long as you're willing to give and lend yours. And so if you'll lend your network, which is a currency, there are many people that will let you borrow theirs. And maybe you didn't go to an Ivy League school. We all know that Ivy League schools don't have better books. They don't have better teachers. They just have a better accomplished group of people to that point in their lives who happen to be the sons and daughters of senators and CEOs and influential people. And so you really go to an Ivy League school to get a network. Well, maybe you didn't go to one. I didn't. You can be friends with somebody from an Ivy League school. And if they're good at connecting, before you know it, you can have all the connections they have.
That's intriguing.
So I think that it's a very important thought for people to think about, is lending their network and borrowing other people's networks.
Yeah, which brings us to the conversation of being an influencer. Express to us what you're doing there by being an influencer and what your company does. Influencer.
Yeah, so my company's name is Influencer, and the influencer marketing space is ever evolving now because of the fact that people realize social media ads can work, but nothing's more powerful than somebody who organically is sharing a message on social to their followers. People will listen more and engage more in an organic message, right? So we have created a software as a service that works with brands. Right now, sports teams are the main focus, but really we can work with any brand that has an inherent network of influencers. So instead of thinking of influencer marketing like everyone else does, which is let's find influencers in the marketplace to endorse our brand so that we can sell. We actually take the completely other route, which is let's look at the internal inherent influencers that we have automatically, whether they're in sports, they're the athletes. In a business like Stryker Medical Devices, they're the doctors or salespeople. And let's figure out how, as a brand, we can curate content that we can automate onto the phones of these individuals that represent our brand and help them tell our story and their story to grow their personal brand and our brand as a whole. Mm-hmm. And so that's what our software really cultivates, is a brand ambassador relationship internally within the brand through content relationships and data and analytics and ultimately aggregation of all the social media accounts and all the content respective to that brand in one place.
Where's the best place for someone to connect with what you do, Jim?
Simply go to INFLCR, that's how we spell influencer.com. And you can find out a lot more about Influencer, and you can find out a lot more about me. Just all the social medias on the same handle. It's just Jim Cavale, JimCavale. And I don't just tell brands that we serve with our software to tell their story, and I don't just tell their athletes to tell their story. I do it too. So you can really follow my story on a daily basis, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, if you follow me.
Love it. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live from Jim Cavale. As he said, you can connect with him at influencer.com, inflcr.com. Jim, let's switch gears for a moment now, and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Jim, what is your earliest childhood memory?
That's a good one. Well, I'm a sports guy, so I always start to gravitate towards sports. I think one of my earliest memories is playing baseball at the park with a group of friends, and not being old enough necessarily to get in the game, and always wanting to get in the game, and coming home kind of crying to my dad, "Please, Dad, help me get in the game," and it was my dad who taught me the game from that point on, and baseball ended up being a huge part of my life, to the point where I left New York and came all the way down to Alabama to play college ball. So my earliest memories are trying to go to the park and get in the baseball games and not being let in because I was probably 4 years old or so. But eventually they let me in.
That's intriguing. So why do you think this memory is so clear, and how do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Well, I think all of us as human beings, and I personify it, always want more. I shouldn't say all human beings. I personally am never satisfied. And that may sound bad. That may sound like, geez, you're never happy. I don't think it means I'm never happy, but I always do want to get to the next level. I always do want to excel further. And so, when I look at that memory, it was a kid trying to get in the game, so to speak. And then once you get in the game, you want to play well. And then once you play well, you want to play better, right? And I think that's life too. That's parenting, that's business, that's your career, that's your marriage. You can always do better. And of course, it could always be worse. So I think it tells the message of relativity.
That's intriguing. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Yeah.
I love to see the fact of the matter that the truth in what you, and that's all confusing, just to say, truly, it's really amazing that you understood who the influencer is and how the influencer's help could impact your life to be an influencer. So to see little you running around understanding that your father is the influencer that can help your life, where you can then become the ball player, right? It's just fascinating now how the tables have turned, and now you're that individual that is actually helping others get in the game, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song when I was 12 years old was Black by Pearl Jam. I grew up listening to grunge music, and before I got into hip hop, I love that song.
Love it. Well, Jim, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a declaration form. So it's yes or no. Jim, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
3. Yes.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I plead the fifth.
Jim, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who Jim Cavale is, what would you say that is?
My own unique statement that represents who I am?
Yeah.
It would be that I live and exist to make people around me better versions of themselves. And God's blessed me with a lot of amazing relationships with a diverse group of people to do just that. And when I'm gone, hopefully my legacy will live through them.
Love it. Hey, Jim, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Well, like I just said, listen, you all interact with people every day. We all do. Make sure that when you're interacting with people, you stop, you be present, and you make the biggest impact you can on them so that you can hopefully leave a lasting impact that lives beyond your years.
Love it. Jim Cavale, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.